You can survive for weeks without food. You can last days without water. But stay awake long enough, and within just a few days your body begins to break down. Not because anything is attacking it, but simply because it isn't allowed to sleep. So what actually happens, hour by hour, when you don't sleep? Let's walk through it. To understand it, you first have to know why you get sleepy at all. From the moment you wake up, a molecule called adenosine starts building up in your brain. The longer you're awake, the more it accumulates, and the heavier the pressure to sleep becomes, like sand slowly filling an hourglass. Caffeine doesn't remove that sand, it just temporarily blocks the receptors adenosine uses, so the pressure keeps building underneath. You simply can't feel it for a while. And sleep isn't only rest. While you sleep, your brain runs a kind of overnight cleaning cycle. Researchers have found that during deep sleep, the spaces between your brain cells widen and fluid washes through, flushing out the metabolic waste that built up during the day, including the very proteins that are linked to Alzheimer's disease. Skip sleep, and that cleanup largely doesn't happen. So let's start the clock. For the first 16 to 18 hours awake, a normal long day, you're mostly fine. But once you pass the 24-hour mark, something measurable happens. Studies have shown that after being awake for about 24 hours, your reaction time, coordination, and judgment are impaired to roughly the same degree as being legally drunk. You'd never drive after a night of drinking, but exhausted people do exactly that every day without realizing they're in a similar state. Around this point, your brain also starts taking sleep whether you allow it or not. These are microsleeps, bursts of sleep lasting a second or two, where your eyes may stay open, but your brain briefly goes offline. You don't even notice them. That's why drowsy driving is so dangerous. A 2-second microsleep at highway speed means traveling the length of a football field with nobody in control. Your emotions go haywire too. Brain imaging research found that after a sleepless night, the amygdala, the brain's alarm center for fear and anger, became around 60% more reactive, while the calm, rational prefrontal cortex that normally keeps it in check lost much of its grip. That's why everything feels bigger and worse when you're exhausted. Small annoyances spark real anger, and you well up at things you'd normally shrug off. By around 36 hours, the effects sink deeper into the body. Stress hormones rise, markers of inflammation climb, and your ability to form new memories drops sharply, because the tired brain can no longer file the day's experiences into long-term storage. Push on to 48 hours, and the pressure to sleep becomes almost unbearable. The microsleeps grow longer and more frequent. Even your immune system takes a hit. Studies show that just one night of poor sleep can sharply reduce the activity of the natural killer cells that hunt down viruses and damaged cells. Your body, quite literally, begins to fight you to make you stop. Stay awake past about 72 hours and the mind itself begins to come apart. People who go this long commonly report hallucinations, seeing things that aren't there, hearing voices, feeling like the world has turned strange and dreamlike. The brain is so desperate for sleep that it starts blurring the line between waking and dreaming while you're still awake. The most famous case is a 17-year-old named Randy Gardner, who in 1965 stayed awake for 11 days straight, about 264 hours, for a science fair under observation. By the end, he was struggling to speak clearly, his memory was failing, he was paranoid, and he was hallucinating. He did recover after a long sleep, but his case is studied precisely because it shows how far the brain can be pushed, not how far it should be. And here's the part that proves sleep is truly non-negotiable. There is a rare inherited disease called fatal familial insomnia. People who have it slowly, progressively lose the ability to sleep at all, and over months, it kills them. There is no amount of wakefulness the body can simply shrug off forever. Sleep isn't a luxury your body would like. It's maintenance it cannot survive without. Now, most of us never go days without sleep. The quiet damage comes from something far more common: chronically sleeping too little, night after night. And the research here is sobering. In one study, healthy young men were limited to just 4 hours of sleep for 6 nights. By the end, Their bodies process sugar so poorly that their blood looked almost pre-diabetic, from sleep loss alone. Their hunger hormones shifted too. The signal that says, "you're hungry," went up. The one that says, "you're full," went down, leaving them craving sweets and starch. It's part of why poor sleep is so tightly linked to weight gain. Stretch that pattern over years, and short sleep is associated with higher risks of high blood pressure, heart disease, and a weaker immune system. And remember that nightly brain cleaning cycle that clears out Alzheimer's-linked waste? When you consistently cut sleep short, that cleanup keeps getting interrupted. Most adults, by the way, need around 7 to 9 hours. And the people who claim to thrive on 4 are, with extremely rare genetic exceptions, simply used to being impaired. But here's the hopeful part. The moment you finally do sleep, your body doesn't waste a second. It dives straight into deep sleep, and then REM, prioritizing exactly what it missed, physically repairing the body, and locking in memory and emotion. You don't pay back lost sleep hour for hour, but one good night does an enormous amount to pull you back from the edge. The damage from a single rough night is largely reversible. It's the months and years of running on empty that quietly add up. So that's what happens when you don't sleep. A steady slide from simply tired, to chemically drunk, to emotionally raw, to hallucinating. While underneath it all, the maintenance your body depends on never gets done. Your body doesn't treat sleep as downtime. It treats it as one of the most important things it does all day. So the next time it's pulling you toward your pillow, remember, that pull is your body protecting you. If this made you see your own body a little differently, you'll feel right at home here. This whole channel is about what's really going on inside you. Stick around.